Hey there everybody, just cracking on with Hellcat now that she's been base coated. And just using 1 part jade green, 1 part lime green mix. And I'm just going to be, much as with the intruder, just going to be mostly blocking this in. Again, as you can see, the pigment's pretty thin, so it doesn't lay opaquely. It lays very transparently. This isn't a problem. But I'm just going to be blocking in all of the areas and treating it somewhat like the base coat. So I'm going to be leaving sort of gaps so the dark green comes through for the shading. I'm trying to avoid sort of black shading, because I consider this to be a little bit more of a character than a grunt as such. I know you can feel the 4 is their standard availability. I'm not entirely sold on airborne troops. As you can see, I'm making a mess out of this. I quite like the idea of them. They do have some tactical advantages. Like an airborne troop dropped into combat at the right place at the right time. But to be quite frank, I just think that the unless you're running hacking programs to support them, their physical value on average just isn't high enough to be able to make them reliable what's the word? Interceptor, I suppose. If you want to drop them down at a very particular spot so they have good fields of fire, or they're just out of sight, it's like most of the time you have a less than 50-50 chance of achieving that. Because if you've got like a physical of 12, but then you get the airdrop with a -3 on it on a physical tech check, like I say, unless you've got hacking, all you have. Was it advanced airdrop or what have you? Just not accurate enough to be valuable. I mean, if you can virtually guarantee that they drop in where you want them to, then that would be great, because then they're actually useful. But if it's 50-50, you've kind of wasted points on something which you're going to at best be using as a sort of threat that you don't even mention, because it's concealed information or private information that only you should know about at the start of the game. Well, I suppose you could tell someone that you've got deployed troops as a shock and awe. Keep people guessing and pressuring and prevent them from wanting to move. Oh god, is that broken? No, bloody house. Right, I have to go and repair this Hellcat because she's just being a nightmare, you know. She keeps on breaking, I keep on knocking her over, she keeps on falling off her base. I'm so glad once she's painted, but I'm just going to crack on and get this done and stick her arm back on and repair and everything. So I'll be back with you. So yes, once again the Hellcat. See you in a mo. So here we are with the Hellcat, once again reassembled, a little blighter, and rather than toning this one back, I'm straight away going for the violet blue and I am gonna pick up the entire armor colour to this. I'm gonna start picking out all the panels, trying to create that sort of degree of separation you might get in a base coating layer. I don't want to push this all the way to white, but I may well highlight this later with a lighter colour. Again, I'm trying to make these more feminine models, or the female soldiers, give them a slightly more feminine colour scheme. Mostly because I think it looks cool. And I think that's all the reason you need. You could go on a realism bitching motion, and it's not that I think that women should be. On the contrary, I think feminism should be elevated. It should be given its status as powerful in its own right. Actually, it's another reason I do like these ranges that Corvus Belli does. They make a point of manufacturing miniatures of each sort in both genders. I like that sort of sense that, if nothing else, once you've got tactical sort of exoskeleton type powered armour, it removes the onus being on the sort of natural physicality, so like, you know, men have a natural physical advantage, and the playing field's levelled by virtue of these suits of armour having sort of being servo powered or what have you, and that means there is no advantage to being male or female. There's only advantage to the soldier, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And it's one of the reasons I kind of like the ideas in this game, because I think too many games target men too heavily. They're sort of far too what will guys like. They don't even attempt to really give women the chance to get into this kind of thing, because they don't offer anything that appeals to them. Whereas the guys at Corvus Belli really, I think, go out of their way to make extremely good female miniatures. I mean, they could possibly go a little bit more diverse in their body types, but it's a step in the right direction, I think. The only place I've seen any sort of diversity of body types is actually Guild Ball. They have quite a lot of interesting female characters in that, of all shapes and sizes. Maybe things will change. Sorry, difficult to see, but I mean, I understand that they are targeting essentially a male audience. I'd love to see more women into war games, but it's not really a I think you need more opportunity for deception and wiliness, and like ways of winning without direct conflict. So it shouldn't just be about flat out killing. I mean, I think in a game like this you could do that as sort of making stuff focused around hacking, and I mean, if you could, you know, creating clever armies which are about seizing objectives, completing objectives with minimal requirement for direct confrontation. I think this kind of game therefore has a lot more appeal to women, at least in theory. Not necessarily in practice, of course. You have to ask women. I'm not one, so I can't really judge. But I do think in principle it offers more than a lot of games. I mean, yeah, if you consider that GW only has the Sisters of Silence, and it's like, you're silencing women, are you for real? Considering that women are far from silent. I mean, in fact, I would go so far as to say that it is a natural and very important part of being a woman is communicating. In fact, they communicate a lot more than men do, and it's more important to them. So making your major faction of women the Sisters of Silence, it's a little bit like you're pandering too much to a male audience. You know, and it's offensive to women, in all honesty, especially when you don't really have any other female forces going on, at least not for the humans. Oh yeah, the only women that fight and ones which are silent, really. Whereas unless there's a really great mix of gender and everything, there's no sort of, yes, this is a boys only club, and I think that's actually really important at the moment in wargaming. There's lots of really great female painters out there as well, and there seems to be more players of these kind of things, but it's still massively limited, mostly men. I don't know any female wargamers as such. I do know some girls who said, oh, if you badger me I'll play something at some point, and I am going to badger them and try and get them to play, so hopefully at some point I will show you battle reports playing with girls, and I know there's a couple of channels which play games where there's girls involved, and it's sort of a, you know, big steps in the right direction, but we're still it's not designed to be inclusive, let's face it, and that's maybe something that needs overcoming. And again, I think this kind of range of very feminine models, very feminine women, without actually sort of being too heavy in the men would like them, but also making the point of making them look fit rather than voluptuous, I suppose is the word. This is going to take a while, but as you can see, I'm just blocking in, starting to work this colour in. I might even wash it back and then highlight it up, and then highlight it up again more towards white, and then I'll get back to you once this is all done. So I'm just going to quickly block in the gun with black ink. This is sort of 2 parts. No, actually, I think this is a 1 part ink, 2 part water, and in fact, I'm going to need a bit more. My black ink exploded, so it's all sort of caked. I don't know. Yeah, and so I'm just lifting a bit of black ink off of here, transferring it over to my palette. Always transfer to your palette, even if I don't always. Don't copy me. I'm just gonna. The thing about ink is you dilute it too much and you get to a point where it ceases offering any coverage. In this case I want it diluted because I want it to get into the creases and create definition in the weapon as much as I want it to tone down the colour. Also, the paint on the gun of this Hellcat is behaving a bit funny. But this Hellcat's just behaving a bit funny. They're beautiful, very detailed miniatures, but I wish I should have made sure that this one was assembled with what's it called? Epoxy, not with super glue, and it ended up being assembled with super glue. So as you can see, I'm just wetting my brush a bit now, and I'm just sort of trying to get this ink moving, because what I want is I want the ink to actually sit in the gaps, but I want it to end up with a not with an even. Yeah, I might have messed this one up. Yeah, well, that's all good. I wanted it to create a bit more detail than this, so as you can see, I've just messed this up. I'm also just gonna do the same to the knife. I haven't decided what I'm doing with the knife yet. I might use just, metallics, paint silver. I might endeavour something a bit more fancy. Never really actually done any of those sort of fades that make grey look like metal, but I might just attempt it on this knife. There's a first time for everything, right? So you can all laugh at me getting it wrong. Yeah, there you go. Just starts to create some definition, some tonal variety. The weapon starts to look like a weapon rather than just a blob of paint, and everything's starting to come together. So I will move on to the leather. Well, I'll move on to whatever I move on to next. I think I said to move on to leathers and then I've done this, but I'll catch you shortly when I'm moving on. Okay, so just moving on with the Hellcat here. Beginning to pave themselves a little bit. Really like being painted. Just starting to put in sort of the grey fades into the dark grey. This is a creating definition stage as such, because I don't want to move too far away from the dark grey colouring, and so I am as such highlighting as with the Wildcats. I might well end up doing this as tinting it with green. I know some people don't like working that way, but I think, like I don't know if I mentioned this before, but with the JSA forces I'm doing, I'm pretty certain that I'm going to do them as a grayscale and tint, with certainly with the reds and whites. So there'll be well, you can see how that works, and you can decide whether you like it as a way of doing things or not. It's really up to me. That's just a personal preference thing more than anything. I'm immediately doing this really badly, so just first thing of the day. It's really overcast as well, so I'm working in this horrible just with, like, synthetic light, which you can get away with, but it's no good really. Messing up all of these fades, and yeah. You say start how you mean to go on, right? Today's clearly not going to be a great day for me. You can see I'm just cutting and removing, failing to actually blend. So a little bit of blending occurring, not a lot of it. Trying to run it out the calf so it's getting that sort of highlight quality. I think I'm just going to wet up this lower bit of shimmer, and then I'm just going to run a highlighter on the bottom edge. And again, this is wetting this up enough so that it just blends by itself. I don't want it to have to do brush blend really, it's too teeny for there. Not too teeny, but brush blending like this actually takes time. And in some respects right now, time is of the essence. Not rushing, or endeavouring to not rush, but I haven't so far got to report anything yet, but that's because I'm painting still. Until I've got my JSA painted as well, I will not be doing any video reports of anything. So this is sort of part of my journey to infinity, really. And I'm refusing to, you know, I could just base stuff up and start showing stuff, but I'm not showing you anything without fully painted forces. I've been looking for Infinity Battle reports and I've found that there aren't really any. What there are out there are meh. Many war games started doing them, and I'm presuming they discontinued due to a issue with GW. I believe they have a contract with GW or some nature, which is a great shame for the sake of Infinity, but so I thought, sod it. Infinity is an awesome game. It deserves some awesome coverage, and also I think there's room within Infinity for a different kind of battle report, which I'm going to endeavour to bring you in the not too distant future. I'm hoping by the end of this month to have built enough buildings. We'll have to see when. And then I'm gonna move on to like sort of just playing out the rules, really, just so that I can clarify everything and you guys can tell me what's what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right, and we'll move on from there. But what I'm really looking forward to is building these comic book style battle reports, because I think they're going to be beautiful. And a lot of work, so then it might be that I can only manage one a week at the most, and I might have to cut back on other sort of, it might not be day by day video releases if I'm doing that, which is why I'm trying to get ahead of the video release curve. I want to give you something every day, even if it is only painting. So I hope this doesn't bore you, but I'm actually going to show you painting everything I have. Everything I get as I get it, I will just record me painting it, and you guys get to see how much time and effort it takes me to do this stuff, and how much time and effort therefore you might be willing to put into painting yours. Also what results you can expect depending on how much time and effort you put in. I can't really see this detail because I messed up the undercoat on this, but I'm just painting in that bit because I've just seen it on this bit. Now, I'm doing this as just sort of like the biker leathers. And a little part of me is screaming, painted green or purple, but I'm not going to. Right now, as I was saying, time is a constraint. I'm not bothered about a bit of some of the leathers being, because I'm just having a quick, yeah, you see if I look at Vallejo's stuff, I think he's actually painted that as plates, but brown plates on the legs. But I'm going to use them grey as I can. And so I'm quite happy with the aesthetic of this right now. I quite like if you look like she's wearing ankle heels. Green and purple, a little bit Joker, but Harley Quinn. In the lady's case, Harley Quinn's really red and black and white, isn't she? Yeah. Maybe they're not greenbacks, maybe they're the Jokers, the wild cards or something. Don't mess with the nomads because the joke will be on you. So I'm gonna keep running this, and I mean, you've seen me do all this kind of process on other things before. So, I mean, unless at some point people start saying, just show us everything, we'd rather have long plays. I think I'm gonna just show you bits of the pit, like show you me starting the painting. If there's anything you really have queries about, again, please comment and I'll try and show videos which show the bits that you're interested in. Don't sort of have infinite resources, but so I won't sort of, I won't buy repeat models or anything, not just for the sake of showing painting tutorials, but this isn't really a tutorial, this is really just me going like, look, this is how I paint miniatures. I did paint for other people for when I was 18. In some respects I wish I'd carried on with that, and maybe I would have actually made it into, I don't know, I got distracted, did other things, you know how it goes. Tried to do something sensible, but no, in some respects I wish I hadn't, and I just stuck to my guns. There's a moral in the story there, boys and girls. If there is something you have that you do that you love, pursue it. Don't make a sensible option. Follow your dreams. Because you never know, if you don't pursue them, you will never find out whether you can achieve them. Now, you're probably saying with all the strapping and everything to deal with and such forth, and it's like, yes, that's true. But I'm not going to deal with any of that until the last minute, I don't think, because it's sort of running over and through things. I'm only just really being able to clearly see it. I mean, this is the other part for me with this sort of stage of creating definition, is you are finding out about the miniature, and especially when miniatures this, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a bit blind. I don't wear glasses or anything, but sometimes I think maybe I ought to. Okay, so I'm going to crack on and get this done, and I'll get back to you once I've got this finished. So that's all the grey highlighting done. I'm just going to blob in the blue and the eyes. Just dropped in a little bit of white on the com log here as well, so I'm just going to blob in these bits, and then it'll just be cutting in the white on the grey areas. So that'll be base complete. I'm finding this fluorescent paint that it's very, very thin to actually get the pigment stay. One other thing I've got to do is darken down the visor, so I'm just going to do all these as a quick corner. You can just sort of see kind of how quickly I brush through this. Well, at times. So just getting a tiny bit of white. This only needs to be minuscule amounts really, because oh, I haven't said that. This has some largish areas. Just laying this up pretty thin. Don't really want it to. Okay, that was not enough white. It's a bit of a shake. Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, always try and use the sort of minimum amount of paint necessary. In this particular instance, I actually want the translucency from this paint. As you can see, I'm actually probably laying it on a bit too thick, but I'll just keep moving it. And this way, what I can do later is I can just clean up the edges to create that sort of I'll just cut in the edges again in order to create the sort of highlighted effect. It's white on white, so I'll make the white denser at a later point. This way I'm allowing the paint to highlight itself, really. I'm not worrying too much about building up tiers and tiers of tonality. Also, as ever, I mean, you can always knock it back. By tinting it or painting in key lines to create shadow again, and bring the shadow back out with highlights. And as I said before, it's not necessarily about getting things right first time, it's about how much you can correct later. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going with this Nomad Force. I'm quite happy with the sort of core of it now. It's expensive troops. I mean, I have been looking through the army lists with an eye to like, well, how many tags could I manage to squeeze into a single Nomad Force? And you know, if you take a standard Nomad army list without any sectorial affiliation, you can fit in good 5 tags, or 2 geckos and a iguana, a lizard, a salamander. I was even thinking maybe in future expanding into just the Corregidor Jurisdictional. I mean, you can take 4 geckos as part of that. I thought that was quite an amusing idea, but the problem always is with the tags, is the state the previous. If you've been watching everything, you've heard me say it before, but it's not that they're not cost effective in terms of they are much stronger than other troops, but you end up with so few of them, you just don't have the orders. When this is a game about orders, really. It's about command and control a lot more than it is about the most powerful thing on the table, which is quite nice. One of the things that always frustrates me is when you end up in a scenario that you can't justify buying rank and file kind of troops because they are just ineffective. Because it's always going to be worth taking the more powerful thing, and I do like that about this game. It's certainly one of the things that's driven me into its arms. So once I've got all of this stuff painted, once I've got Nomads painted, JSA painted, and I've moved into painting A-Left forces. Again, A-Left forces I've come up with quite a way of making a Marit actually effective, I think, but you have to shell out on a lot of rebots and probots, and those are actually very expensive minis, even though they're cheap points wise in the game. But if you wander around the corner into a Marit and a couple of total reaction HMGs and bikinis and such forth, there's an awful lot of firepower that's going to get slammed into you. I know you could do that with any force technically, but there's something to be said for the Strategist level 3, which would be running the Marit as a lieutenant, which again, a lot of people might say is daft. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you can see it's a thin coat of white, it will get brought up lighter. Again, I'll re-highlight, repaint, and this is sort of one of the ways I create tonal variation, difference, and also generate highlighting without actually getting all caught up on, oh, you have to paint it light in the colour, paint it light in the colour. Oh no, I've forgotten I've missed a mandible. So I just want a touch of white in here. Calling them mandibles, but it's the sort of com set that's panels that run around what I would assume is the com set. I just want these to be, again, this is one of these different. I mean, people would prefer like more, I'll just show us how to do one thing really well. It's like, I'm game for doing that, but I was really just trying to show a sort of all-in paint process. So now I've got ink, rather than using paint, I'm actually going to do the fade on the helmet using ink. So as ever, I'm running liquid over the surface. Now, I don't know whether you can see this clearly or not, but you'll notice that it sort of bunches up and it actually moves off. One of the reasons I'm pre-running the liquid in it is because what I want to do is blob ink into the water and let it fade through by itself. I'm using it straight off this because it explodified, and so if I just, you see it just fades by itself, it starts bleeding through. That way I can then get this, and I can drag this around in a much more controlled way. I just want to sort of get in around the base of the mask as well. So I've got the sort of dark edges and much more purple towards the centre. Just keeping that fade neat. I'm also seeing the other part that I know. God damn it! Yeah, so there you go, there's just the phase, so you've still got the purple showing through. And that's the end of the creating definition part. And as I said, I'm kind of doing this in 3 phases. This is kind of how I really think about painting miniatures. I'm never going to show you undercoating, although there are undercoating options. I started using spray paint. I think spray paint's too heavy duty for undercoating these miniatures. I haven't tried it yet, but in the past I've used matte enamel paint a lot. I might even see if I can get my hands on some proper acrylic primer and go for Vallejo's own range as such. So yeah, thank you very much everybody. I hope this is of some use to you, and I will catch you next time. Take care. Bye bye. That's all just out of shot.